Here we are at Rio Grande High School creating a basic hoop house or hay bale house.
It is a south-facing wall that gets radiant heat off of it. We will be gardening and extending the season, and hopefully we'll be growing vegetables all winter long to create a unique microclimate.
It's simple and easy to build a small hoop house. All of these materials can be purchased at a hardware store. The first material that you'll need is conduit, and this is a gray material that looks very similar to PVC pipe. Then you also need heavy-duty plastic. Then you need several segments of 2-foot rebar. These are two different types of clips that you can use to attach the plastic to the electrical conduit bar. Here's some tools that you're going to be needing throughout the day. There's a pipe cutter, there's a hammer, scissors, something to pound in the rebar into the ground. You can use a hammer, but a sledgehammer works even better. Before you get started, it's always important to wear proper gear for a job like this in our hot climate, in our sunny climate. A hat and sunscreen are highly recommended, especially for your students. So to begin this work, what we do is we pound the rebar into the ground at several intervals along the raised bed, generally about 2 feet apart. And you need the rebar to be all the way into the ground, leaving only about 2 inches extending from the soil, which can be difficult in hard soil, but this is where a sledgehammer comes in handy.
When the pipes and the conduit pipes are too short, they will not affix to the rebar, and you will not have a hoop left to work with.
Once you have rebar pounded into the soil on both sides, you take your electrical conduit and you stretch it across the bed. You need to decide at this point what height you would like your half circle at, so that you want to have enough air for the circulation for the plants. You also want to make sure that it stays warm in there. So you want to, sometimes they're too tall, and so that there's too cold inside the hoop. So I generally recommend that you leave about 2 to 3 feet, anywhere from 18 inches to 3 feet above the soil level for your plants to grow. And that allows for it to stay nice and toasty warm. So in order to accomplish this height, your preferred height, this is a PVC cutting tool. You can also use a saw or a heavy-duty wire cutter. In this way, it's better to cut it, to start with a longer electrical conduit pipe and then cut it short as desired when you're working. Again, you don't want to make it too short because it might not span. When you're cutting a material like this, you really need to be careful about the safety aspects of it. It really helps to have 2 people holding the electrical conduit so that it doesn't let loose once you cut it. After your electrical conduit is spanned from one piece of rebar to the next, and you have a nice infrastructure for your hoop, you need to spread your plastic across the hoop. You don't want it too tight or it'll pull the edges of the hoop into the interior of the garden. So you want to allow a little bit of give with the plastic. Before you cut the plastic, you need to make sure that you have about 1 foot on each side around the ground, so that you can put materials to hold the plastic down. You spread the plastic over the ribs of the electrical conduit with, again, enough plastic all around. This is where the clips are needed. This is how you affix the plastic to the electrical conduit. In our windy weather here in New Mexico, especially in the spring, if you do not affix the plastic to the electrical conduit, your plastic will take sail in the wind. Here are 2 commonly used options for clips. There's the easily found office clips, and they work except for they have somewhat of sharp corners and they can tear the plastic when the wind pulls at the materials. These other clips can be purchased online, and they are really designed for this sort of installation, and they hold up against the wind and the weather, and they're, if you can afford it, a better option.
Another way to keep your plastic from flying is to anchor it with something heavy. In this case, we are anchoring and insulating our bed with straw, as well as stapling or nailing the plastic to the side. This will help to ensure that the wind does not take it and blow it away, and we are anchoring it on our prevailing wind side. while leaving the other side open for access into the bed. So always anchor your plastic from the prevailing winds. Pinch the corners so that the wind does not catch the plastic, ripping it or opening it. And periodically during the winter, always check your plastic and fix any holes or repair the plastic as needed. During the winter months, the plastic, underneath the plastic, can heat up significantly, as well as you need to open up to work in your garden on occasion. So we roll the plastic back slightly, but reaffix the plastic to the conduit so it doesn't blow away and flap in the wind, just enough to allow air to circulate and for us to work in the garden.
It definitely needs to be opened on a hot and sunny day in New Mexico. If we have a day that is 50 degrees, even high 40s, and the hoop house is left closed, plants can be damaged by heat. So even a small corner opened will allow sufficient air circulation to keep the temperature at a really comfortable place for the plants.
Temperatures can reach as high as 80 to 90 degrees even midwinter under plastic. And especially here next to a white wall that is south facing, it gets double radiant heat, warming the bed quicker than in open conditions. Gardening is not just for the summer months. You can garden all year round with just a few practical tips and also equipment such as this hoop house. You can extend your growing season all winter long, and especially during the school year, you can grow during most of the school year as compared to the summer months when no one is around. So there's lots of opportunities for you to grow many vegetable crops during the school year.
Different cool season crops you can plant include lettuce, arugula, chard, kale, spinach, carrots, different kinds of radishes, bok choy, cilantro, and parsley.
And finally, a wonderful thing about a hoop house is that the plastic can be removed, and in the summer you can affix shade cloth to the very same infrastructure to protect your plants from our harsh sun. Conversely, if you don't want to use the structure in the summer, it's easily removed and stored in a different location.